We got a spectacular game, an early Christmas present of sorts, two of the best teams in the league going at it head to head, and showing some really awesome things offensively and defensively, how both of them were able to counteract each other and play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. This was a spectacular game to watch, and I had a great time breaking this down, so I'm going to bring down all of my thoughts, all my notes into this video for you guys right here, and show you how the Thunder, who looked pretty invincible, actually can be beaten. For those of you who are new, my name's Jordan. I was a former college basketball player, and now I'm breaking down this game for you guys. So give it a like, give it a subscribe, just to boost this guy in the algorithm, and let's get right into the video. First thing I want to discuss is obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's leading the MVP race, rightfully so. He is a spectacular basketball player and very crafty scoring-wise. I think a lot of people talk about the foul baiting. I think he gets unfairly singled out considering that basically all of your favorite players are going to do foul baiting to some degree, especially people who are at the top of the MVP list. And in this case, the Spurs are very, very aware of how he gets his free throws, how he gets his rhythm, how he gets you in foul trouble. And you're going to see throughout this game, they are very intentional about how they guard him. Starting with this first play. And there's a screen. We don't see the screen because it doesn't cut there. And he's just staying back. His hands are down. They're back. He's not giving any kind of reaching that Shai can do a rip-through move on. He's not doing anything of that sort. He contests late. That's very intentional. And he keeps out of Shai's landing space. This is very intentional. He makes the shot. Okay, Shai had 29 points in this game. He had a very solid basketball game, but there is not a single other Thunder player that scored over 20 points in this basketball game because the Spurs figure, we're going to let Shai do his thing. We're not going to foul him. We're going to let him run free. Mostly, we'll shade and double him where we can. We'll see more clips of that in the future. There's a double screen action for Hartenstein. The player that you're going to notice is going to get a lot of open shots because of double teams and screen actions is Hartenstein. He is going to get more opportunities than he normally would because the Spurs are going to be more focused on other players and what they can do. So he's going to get some opportunities in this game. He is the guy that they're giving the shots to. So watch Vassell right here. Look at his hands. He is very hands-free. He is not giving Shai an opportunity to get those touch fouls. He is just playing like it's a stove. You can't touch the stove. It's too hot. You're basically, you got your hands tied behind your back. You can use your body, and you can get in his visual, like, eye line. That's about all you can do. So watch this right here. Look at his hands. Look at, again, his hands are nowhere near Shai in this play right here. So Shai has the ball out here. Hartenstein comes up for the screen. But in this case, he's left open because Cornette lets Hartenstein slip on the backside. Hartenstein gets another bucket because they're more focused on the guards and pushing them off the line and making them shoot tough shots than they are on Hartenstein specifically. And Hartenstein only has 10 points in this game, so it's not the end of the world to give up something to that guy. When there's other players, if they get hot, they get a lot more dangerous. Now they got a double right here off of that screen. They're leaving Chet open. So obviously they have priorities. Chet is open. He could shoot this little, like, you know, elbow jumper right here, and he'd probably make it. But Shai is the priority. They want to push him to the baseline this way, right? Or excuse me, yeah, the baseline, because they can get him in a semi-trap. That's smart, good stuff. And he's forced to shoot a contested midi. Harper is very careful to keep his hands off. He does make the shot, cool, but it's a contested shot, and it's one where he's not getting an and one, which can really add up and really harm your team foul count and the players you can throw as far as defensively at your best, at the best players of the other team. So I wanted to bring up Oklahoma City's defensive sets as well. Victor Wembanyama does come back in this game, and that's really cool, but he only plays about 21 minutes. I think it's just under 21 minutes for the whole game. He does not play in the first quarter. I talked about this in my Oklahoma City defensive video, that how they shut down the best player of the team is they typically will push the ball out of their hands. They'll double them. They'll put them in really tough spots where they have to pass the ball out, and other players are encouraged to score instead. And that creates a lot of, friction on the offense for those opposing teams. For the Spurs, this is something that I think is really important. There is nobody on this team that you can push the ball out of their hands and suddenly the offense gets ruined. They're a very well-balanced team where they have a lot of players that can play make, a lot of players that can shoot the ball, and they become very versatile and they become very dangerous. And that's frankly one of the keys to beating a defense like OKC, where they will try to find, the key, the Mount Everest of the team and knock that thing down and level it to the ground. If you only have everybody, kind of at the same level, it gets very difficult to pinpoint what they should do. So what I'm bringing up here is when they're setting screens, the screens are covered in a very standard way, right? Kornet sets the screen right here. Dort is trying to get through. Holmgren is just in standard drop coverage, and it's just a normal screen and roll action. There is no double, there is no blitz, there's nothing complicated or different or unique about the way that they're taking on screens from the Spurs, which I think is very interesting. Now, Wemby is going to come in, we're going to see some double teams in this game, but the key to kind of breaking down the OKC defense is not actually having just super duper talented offensive players or two really offensive talented players, but just having a group of really solid guys to where they can't snipe you. He gets beat off the dribble. Fair. He basically doesn't really put his hands on them. You can say there's a push in the back. I would say that that's not there, and Shai feels that there's a little hand on his back and is like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall over. Kornet stays straight up. Shai falls over. There's a world in which he would get that foul call, but there's just not enough intentional contact that would create that foul there. So, he's trying to sell it, but San Antonio is smart enough to not give them enough of a swing to be able to sell the punch, so to speak. So here's another screen and roll. That's not a very clean screen, but it's pretty normal, right? Fox makes this shot right here. Pretty cool. Standard run, right? There's no switch, no blitz, nothing. Just wanted to bring that up as a second piece of evidence for you guys in case, you wanted to call me out. I want you to watch Castle's hand right here. This is really interesting. Watch, takes that hand off. His habit is to, again, put that hand, kind of on the player's side as he's going around, but he realizes, oh, this is Shai. I have to take my hands off. We're gonna watch that one more time. It's habit giving way to the game plan. So here it is right here. Boom, boom, boom. I gotta take that hand off. And he immediately takes the hand off as soon as he can. Again, realizes it before it becomes a foul, because if he had dribbled, if there's one more dribble, Shai could have, sold that as a push in the back and, kind of put up a shot and then fallen over, and people would have been like, well, there is contact, so you got to call it. And that's the difference right there. There it is. So this is Victor Wembanyama being Victor Wembanyama. He's back from the calf injury. This is, he got to start at the top of the second quarter. So now we're taking a look at what Victor Wembanyama can do. He can get impossible rebounds over two people, and that turns into one of the best ways to get threes in the game of basketball, which is to get a catch and shoot off of an offensive rebound, which Victor is great at getting offensive rebounds. Harper gets that nice three, step in. It's about as open as threes can get, on top of the fact that a lot of three-point shooters will train on something like a shooting gun or a couple of rebounders, and they'll pass the ball from underneath the hoop out to the player to catch and shoot. They've seen that pass more times in practice than they probably have seen any other type of pass. So it is one of the most natural ways to shoot a three, catch and shoot wise, because that's a way that a lot of people practice it. So look at that right there. The Thunder are definitely pulling in on Wemby. So I said they didn't double in the first quarter. They're doubling in the second, right? We got AJ Mitchell right here. I can't quite tell who's on Wemby. And then, we got somebody here. And then obviously we have Jay Will, watching as well. So you got, 4 people that are all ball watching. They're all relatively in the vicinity of Victor Wembanyama. And that is just going to be a constant because he's just one of those guys. He's probably going to see doubles, triples for the rest of his career. It's just, he's that dangerous. He settles for a mid-range even though he has a guy behind him. But the thing about, he misses that shot. The thing about Victor Wembanyama is he's so tall that he can shoot over basically anybody, especially the defenders that, it looks like that was also Jalen Williams on Victor Wembanyama. So both Williams collapse on Wemby. But he's taller than pretty much anybody they put on him. So he can, if he can get the ball up there, he's got a pretty clean line of sight. It's a similar phenomenon to Kevin Durant and how he's able to just shoot over anybody. It's a good post-up. He sees the double, and he panics. He's still not perfect at the double team. I've talked about that in a video prior. He does struggle with it, and sometimes he'll make dumb plays out of it, and that is one of them. He does pretty well for the most part in this game, but it's one of those that over the course of the season, as he plays more games and then in subsequent seasons, he's going to get better at just making the smart play out of the double team. He's not there yet. He spent, ever since I made that video, he's played a couple of games and then spent most of that time injured. So it's kind of unfair to say that, he should be better because he hasn't really had time. He's been in recovery, but still an issue for him right now. There's a steal. Lead the break. Boom. I want to... I brought up this clip not for any particular reason regarding my thesis of this video, but mostly as an apology. I mispronounced Cason Wallace's name, and I called him Carson Wallace throughout my last video, and that was completely unintentional. I think he's a really excellent defender, and I wanted to bring up a little clip of him playing well and doing something, effective and cool, so I could redeem myself, hopefully. So all of you guys in the comments were like, "It's Cason, by the way." I'm sorry, Cason. I will get it right as I continue to make stuff in the future, but yeah, just a little meme, I guess, for you guys. That's on me. There's a reason for this. So Shai's not on the floor. Right now, the primary threat on the floor is now Chet Holmgren. So what are they doing on a pick and roll situation? Well, they're going to discourage a shot from Chet because he can also get hot, and he is arguably the second best player on this team. I would say he is. So Kornet is going to shade right here. He's going to play some nice drop coverage as I think that's Keldon Johnson tries to get around, right? And so you end up with a faux double a little bit. Now Hartenstein tries to get up and shoot that shot. It's a tough shot. If he had made it, so be it, but you're encouraging the ball to get out of Chet's hands and into somebody else's hands, and that is what the Spurs are going for here. Here's another pick and roll. Same thing. Kornet is playing safe and playing at home on Chet, but he's still close enough that he can contest. He's encouraging a tough shot, and while Hartenstein was open for a little second there, that's still, again, staying safe, playing at home, but also being ready for the contest. Kornet plays that really well and gets Chet into a tougher shot. Shai is back in the game. Now the defensive priority becomes Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course. So there's a screen right into a switch, okay? Now we go from Castle to Vassell. And Kornet just comes over. So his guy is Dort because there was a switch at some point. So that's his man right there. I don't know if you can see that, but Dort is Kornet's man. Kornet just says, I'm going to ignore him. This is the priority. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to double. With that, the ball gets pushed out of Shai's hands. And now the other players have to beat you. So here comes that double. Boom. Now Dort does pop up. So he's open. Cool. And now we're in scramble mode. There's a deflection, but the ball is out of Shai's hands. So now we're like, okay, the other players, the others on OKC, which are good others, but they're others, you got to beat us instead. We're going to try and push the ball out of Shai's hands while not fouling him, which is it's a delicate balance, but they're managing to do it pretty well in this. So speaking of double teams, let's take a look at how Wemby, literally just existing, creates a shot for Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes makes a really nice drive. He goes down the middle this way. The help side should be Jalen Williams right there. But he's guarding Victor Wembanyama, so you can't really do that because if you help over there, it becomes a lob and it's a dunk. It's just a mess. So what do? Well, because Jalen Williams is so glued to Victor Wembanyama, there's an open shot opportunity right here. Barnes drives, and the help side from Chet is not fast enough to be able to get over. It ends up in a foul because Williams has an assignment, and that assignment will not let him drop off of Wembanyama to guard a layup. It ends up in a foul, some free throws for Harrison Barnes. You can say that that right there is bad defense. He does get beat. Vassell gets beat off the dribble, and he doesn't get an opportunity to slide back in front. But instead of forcing the issue and fouling, he lets him go, lets his help side come over, and try and contest. Shai makes the shot anyway. So be it. But he does not bump him or try and make up for his mistake by doing something dumb. It's like, okay, if he gets by you, run back if you can, but do not do something stupid and foul to get yourself back into the play. Let your help side do their job. If they can't get there in time, it is what it is. That is the difference in the way that San Antonio is guarding Shai right now. This is another example of Victor Wembanyama just existing and creating shots for his teammates. Because he is such a threat on the post-up, right? Caruso is undersized. Caruso is right here. He's on Wembanyama. Wembanyama has the seal. This pass over the top could lead to a nice post-up. So because of that, Oklahoma City is aware I have to come over, as in Shai, and I need to be able to double potentially for this. As well as I think that's Case and Wallace has to be aware that he needs to come and pinch in as well. Leaving Vassell wide open. That is the benefit of having somebody like Victor Wembanyama. The gravitational pull he has on defenses is unmistakable. He's always going to draw people in just because of the threat he is. And so it creates open shots. Now, let's be fair. This shot ends up in a miss, right? The skip pass right here ends up in a good contest from Shai and a miss. No big deal, right? But that's the kind of stuff Wemby can do. And if he does that enough times in the games and gets people enough open shots like that, somebody's going to make it eventually. We have two players on the team. We have Shai and Chet that are both on the floor at the same time. They're in a pick and roll. If you're the Spurs, what are you doing? Well, they're not going to double either side. They are just going to give a clean switch, right? It's guard to guard. You have De'Aaron Fox and Castle, who are roughly the same height. They just switched nice and even right there. Good contest. That's all there is there. No big deal. When you have those two players that you're both trying to discourage from getting the ball, you do the best you can. Give them a clean switch, don't do anything fancy, and give one of them a wide open shot by encouraging the other to pass the ball away. That's how you would deal with that. There was another point in time in which there was a screen and roll in which Shai was doubled and Chet was allowed to kind of run free a little bit, but there was some help side. I'm not saying that's how they handled it every time, but it is kind of the way that you're handling the two best players in a pick and roll. There's a closeout, but it's on the side. He makes the three. This is the way that you have to close out to make sure that he has space. This is a common closeout style. Look at how he's closing out. He's closing out on the side of Shai just to stay out of that foul territory. So he's not going to make contact with the arm, and he's not going to get in the landing space, which is a big deal nowadays and will turn into a flagrant foul and a whole, 9 yards. It's a lot of extra work. It's a lot of song and dance. So close out on the side, live with the 3-point, step back. You live with it. So the defense is not set properly, and Shai gets the foul bait special. This is the kind of stuff that a lot of the best guards in the league are able to do. They catch the defense unaware, and they'll just drive right into a player and put up a shot as quick as they can. As soon as there's contact, he's gathering, and he's into a shot. Boom, right there. It's just because they're not set, they're not ready to go yet, and so there are points in time in which the Spurs will make mistakes, and Shai is able to capitalize on them. This is one of them. Here's Shai on the drive. They just let him go because they know the help side can come over, right? He can beat one guy off the dribble, but can he beat 4 guys in the paint? That's the question. So they're going to not foul him. Champagny can't get by him. He doesn't get low enough. Shai's lower than him. You can see his shoulders are lower than Champagny's. Low man wins. Okay, cool. Look at the collapse here. I think that's Vassell comes over. Cornette comes over. Johnson comes over. All these guys are in the paint. They're going to make his life really, really difficult in order to shoot any kind of layup or floater. On top of the fact that Champagny is right behind. So he has to pass the ball out, and you live with the result, which ends up being a miss. Great. Now you get the ball, you can move the other way. But if he got by you, don't try and make up for your mistake. Just let him go. Help side is here to help you. It's team defense, not individual defense. So Wemby has a brief one-on-one, right? There's a little bit of shading from, I think that's Case and Wallace on the bottom right there. But he decides, I'm going to shoot over J. Will. Easy stuff right there. He can shoot over basically anybody. He doesn't wait for the double to come. He just catches and shoots in a comfortable spot. That is one of the keys to beating the double. Sometimes you have to be quicker than the double. You can't take your time, post up, and you kind of figure out the lay of the land. You need to just, look, do I have a shot? Do I not? Analyze, move forward. Here comes the fast break opportunity. We're going to see a post up. Yay! He doesn't hold the seal as well as he should, so Cason Wallace comes over and makes a contest. But Wemby's able to make that tough shot because he's Wemby. Basically, Wemby needs to hold that seal a little better, but the thought is there, and I love it. I love that post up on the fast break because he's going to find wonderful one-on-one opportunities with typically, most times, an undersized player. And it's going to be, it's beautiful basketball because you're just taking advantage of what the defense is giving you. And at that time, the defense is on the back foot because we got fast break basketball off of a good defensive stop. So we're in semi-transition right here. Wemby gets right into the post up. Perfect stuff. Great stuff. More posting up from Wemby. Makes me happy. Yay. He gets the ball passed in. He stays patient. He doesn't force anything out of this one. He is not trying to just whip the ball out as soon as he sees the double. He knows Jalen Williams is on the back side. Wallace is on his top side. He makes a nice pump fake, right? Pump faking the pass. Then he gets fouled. Really good patience for him on the double team. This is something I think we're going to see a lot more of as he gets more mature, as he gets, more used to this style of defense against him, where he realizes I don't have to go as fast as possible. I can move quickly and intelligently, but I don't have to speed run everything. And he gets a foul. Great stuff. There's another example of the side contest right there. When we're talking about the side contest, it's better, typically more advantageous, to come in on the side of the player who's shooting. So if you have a right-handed player, you want to come in on their right side. If you have a left-handed player, you want to come in on their left side. It's just going to create a little bit of more friction for their shot. This ends up in a miss. It allows you to jump past the player, so you're past their landing zone and you can still come towards them, but you're not necessarily coming directly at them. So another example of that side contest ends in a miss. Great stuff right there from Fox. Very disciplined. So he finally gets some single coverage with here, but it's with Caruso, who's a great defender, but he is smaller than him. Wemby holds on to the ball just barely. That swipe down's really tough. And then he shoots over Caruso because Caruso's just so much smaller. The only thing Caruso can do is strip. And he fails to get the strip, so Wemby wins that possession. That is one of the things that, again, if you're a smaller player, you just can't compete against somebody who's that much bigger than you. You just can't. You have to get the ball when it's low, and you have to get it early. So let's take a look at some clock management from the Spurs. I have some thoughts on this, and I want to look through these plays real quick before I give you my full idea of what I think. So we have about 20 seconds left. They give Shai that dunk. They don't contest it. They're up 3, and then that makes them only up 1, right? The next play, the Spurs catch the ball. They get fouled. Free throws. Okay, cool. So let's skip ahead to the next Thunder possession. And they foul. So they shot some free throws, made their free throws. Now they're fouling up 3. Now Chet has to make free throws. Let's take a look at the next Thunder possession. After Chet shoots free throws, they foul the Spurs. Now we go back to the Thunder. What happens after that? And they foul intentionally again because they're up 3. So this ends up being the end of the ball game, right? They foul, they're up 3, then there's another foul again. Spurs end up going, I think it's 111. That's their final score. And the free throw here, I think it's 111-107. So this particular style of basketball, I think the Spurs are very famous for starting the foul until you can come back into the game, intentional fouling at the end of the game kind of deal. And this is a different way to go about it, where you're not fouling because you're behind, you're fouling because you're ahead. Because there's a strategic advantage to where if I'm fouling and I'm up 3, they can only shoot 2 free throws. So at best, they can get within 1. Then they have to foul me, and it's just a free throw make or miss game. It's a bit of a game of chance, of course, but it does stifle the other team's offense and prevent them from actually being able to properly shoot a 3 or get something off that is going to be a solid shot that's actually going to tie the game or put them up ahead. I think I'm of the belief that this should not be legal. Like, it kind of ruins the game. It's a really great loophole. And it's very smart. The Spurs are very crafty. They know how to get this sort of thing. So I'm not saying that they're cheating, but man, yeah, obviously you can lose the free throw game and it can go against you. But fouling when you're up 3 is kind of unfair. And it turns this end of this game into just a free throw fest, which makes it quite boring to watch, frankly, and very drawn out. So I guess my hot take is you should not be able to do this. But currently, the way that the league is that you can. And obviously, there wouldn't be a rule change until the beginning of next season anyway. So for the foreseeable future, teams can continue to do this. And I think if I were a basketball team, I would definitely jot this down in my in case of emergency break glass kind of plans. Because it certainly works if you have a free throw shooting team that is above average. If you can just make a couple free throws, you're going to win the game by doing this and kind of just completely lock down the other team. So, interesting way to end the game there. Something I wanted to bring up because maybe it's happened before, but I don't recall it happening quite like this before. So I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention, even though it's at the end of the video. So, there you go. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. I was trying to get this video out pretty fast because I watched this game and then some people sent me some comments, which I do read. And they're like, please break down this game immediately. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So here we are. This is, the NBA Cup Western Conference final. And, we have one more game. So it'll be Spurs versus the Knicks. And that's coming up soon. So that'll be very cool. It's great to have Victor Wembanyama back. But I think the very intriguing thing about this is, how does each team handle each other defensively? How are they able to, use their, opposing game plans to, win this game? And right now, the Spurs are the ones who had the slightly better game plan and were able to execute that really well. Despite not having a great three-point shooting game, didn't matter. They ended up winning this ball game, and I think that that's really cool to see. And, I don't want one team to just win every game, as much as the Thunder are very fun to watch. It's more fun when it's competitive, and that's what made this game very engaging. So, let me know if there's some other videos you guys want me to break down, other games, other topics. I feel like I'm talking about the Spurs and the Thunder a lot, so my next video will not be on either of them. Hate to break it to you guys, that's a little spoiler alert for you. There's some other teams that I definitely want to take a look at because there's a lot of great, awesome things happening around the NBA, and I'm excited to share that with you. So, for those of you who've made it this far, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, doesn't cost you anything, and it greatly helps out this channel. But, if you don't do either of those things, I appreciate you anyway. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.